Very good. All right, let's start with this first question. Yeah, I'll give that to you. What I'd ask you to do is just take a few moments to review the following information. For those of you in the audience, I have provided a data sheet that contains trend information on enrollment by age, gender, and service area counties, awards conferred by gender and race, GEDs obtained, adult ed, developmental, and Pell Awards. What I'm going to ask the candidate to do is just take a look at this information and do two things. Number one, just tell me what you gleaned from this information. And then number two, in developing a vision and the strategic plan for the college, what additional information would you look for, and what would be your approach in reviewing and interpreting these data? Okay.
Good morning, Chancellor.
Good morning, Dr. Richardson.
Well, in viewing this information that you've given me regarding Shelton State Community College and its enrollment and statistics, it seems as though, first of all, I would immediately look at enrollment, and I would see that, of course, that the numbers indeed from 2008 to 2012, there has been a decline. Although I do see note an incline in 2010. Of course, I probably can explain that, I would think, because I do know that a large percentage, a great percentage of recipients or students that attend here do receive some type of financial services. And I do know that in 2010 that we had what we refer to as the year of double Pell. We had summer Pell as well too. And so that probably could attribute for the enrollment. Also, other aspects came into play there in the way of resources too, and that would be stimulus monies was indeed awarded federally to the state. So I'm sure that Shelton State probably received some and was able to offset budget and thus, of course, increase enrollment opportunities in the way of scholarships and so forth. Also looking at the makeup of gender, that's not probably surprisingly in our two-year system, in all of our systems in where female dominated primarily. Also, I guess I would look too, in all of the 6 counties that are served, the minority, of course, majority of the enrollment, of course, from Tuscaloosa County, and that's not surprising to me. But looking to your adult ed and the numbers and so forth, knowing that too, I would probably suspect those numbers I see decline, and probably would maybe to suspect that they would be on a decline maybe now due to January 14th, now there being a new GED exam in place, and it's all computerized and online. Therefore, I would suspect some reductions also there. And the GED numbers also decreased as well too. Retention rates, oh gosh, throughout the state, and retention is definitely one of my issues of concern. And I think that we're going to be able, like I say, to have discussions about that and combat that with other measures that are in place. Referring to when I go back and the question that is asked in development vision and strategic plan, already Shelton State has a strategic plan in place, Plan 2020. And it is an ambitious plan, but also, too, definitely an attainable one. And just like with any strategic plan, it is indeed fluid, it's a living document, and so you have to revisit it from time to time. I would think walking into the door and looking at these numbers and seeing these trends, of course, first I would want to always verify the validity of the numbers and how we capture the enrollment data. That's always important per campus, of course, and of course per counties in the demographics. Going back to the 2020 plan, where you focus on the main primary 4 areas, which all encompasses all this, when you're talking about student learning, and where you're talking about enhancing your impact area, and where you're talking about growth and ensuring your future and success. I think all of this is what I would do in looking at this and assessing would be important to me as a president walking in to make sure that I was understanding why these trends were what they were. Some of them quick at a glance without me doing much research. I definitely can explain the peaks and the valleys, so forth. But walking in the door, yes, and comparing that with the current strategic plan that's in place, I would definitely review and do an assessment and revisit it to see what areas we would now need to make our priorities in that plan. and in order to create and assess and obtain our vision.
Very good. Thank you. As I know you are no doubt aware, there are a number of presidencies opened across our state, and many, many more available across our nation. It's just kind of where we are in our history. Talk to me a little bit about why Shelton State and why you're the right person to lead this institution.
You're absolutely right, Chancellor, in saying that there are 7 vacancies currently in the state of Alabama, in our Alabama Community College system. Why Shelton State? Because Shelton State is a premier institution. I don't have to tell anybody sitting out there in the audience or yourself about the collaborative and numerous partnerships and efforts that are afoot here. I mean, I'm just amazed at how Shelton State really gets it. You really get it when it comes to partnership and utilizing the community, utilizing secondary education, and having that streamlined, seamless transition for that student. You're picking that student up in, as I said, K through 12, middle school. You're getting them here, you're transitioning them out through various programs. Our students walk in the door in so many different facets, whether that's going to be that dual enrolled student, that career tech student, that student directly just out of high school, or whether it's that veteran, that returning veteran, that adult learner. We have students, as I said, we get them by way of ESIP. It just goes on and on as how a student walks in the door. Why Shelton State? Because that diversity is demonstrated here at this premier institution. I would definitely want to be a part of that. Already with what you're already practicing as being recognized for being just the mecca when it comes to providing those needs that are so desperately needed to train tomorrow's workforce, today's and tomorrow's workforce. I would like to be at the helm to be able to carry that on into the next level. For me, on a personal nature, why would I be applying for Shelton State? Why would I want to leave? Because currently, I'm currently serving as the Vice President of Gadsden State Community College, and I've been there for the past 15 years. And as Vice President Chancellor, I have truly just outgrown my position, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I'm looking, of course, for upward mobility. I know now that I possess the knowledge and skills and abilities, no doubt in my mind, that I possess the abilities to be a president and to serve at a great institution. And Shelton State is that premier institution. That's why Shelton.
Great, great. Thank you.
Got to put my glasses on for this
Good.
one.
Okay, this is the next question. As president, you learn that one of your deans has a side accounting and bookkeeping services business, and that the dean has been using college business office personnel to perform services for his personal business during the college workday from the college business office, and also using college equipment as part of his business. The dean is the grandson of a foundation board member, Johnson, who makes sizable scholarship donations. You further learn that the business office employees, both tenured and non-tenured, have assisted the dean out of fear of retaliation if they did not help. As you are considering how to address this situation, you receive a call from Foundation Board Member Johnson. During the discussion, the board member states that a well-respected business is interested in donating to the newly established Dual Enrollment Scholarship Fund and directing scholarships to the college, and would appreciate your naming the new softball field after her father. How would you respond to these matters?
First of all, Chancellor, the scenario that you've placed in front of me here is highly inappropriate and it's unlawful. I am very rule-oriented, and so immediately what I would begin to do with this after I, of course, investigated and, of course, found this scenario to indeed be valid. At that time, then there would be some type of course in consultation with HR and, of course, legal services to at least step me through exactly the legal ramifications of how we would need to operate. But I'm sure that I would just be initially in just reviewing this scenario, say that the dean, first of all, would be put in some type of administrative leave immediately, pending investigation of this matter, because preliminary, based upon the information that I have in front of me, I'm saying initially that's unlawful, but of course would have to warrant an investigation. I would see administrative leave, and once again, this would all be in consultation, of course, with HR and, of course, legal services. As far as the dean, of course, is the Grandson Foundation Board. While we're grateful for relationships, we're grateful for donations, we're grateful for, because it's about serving as a president, it's about working in community college, it's about having that community relation and report is how you do indeed get donors and contributions. So not to say that that is a bad thing or sizable scholarship donations at all, but there is an appropriate manner, a policy and procedures that we will abide by if I'm appointed president at Shelton State, no doubt. And I'm surely that the persons here at Shelton State sure would not condone such behavior. We would always try to make sure we're always very professional in maintaining, as I say, our donors and our relationships and so forth, but we won't cross we will not cross the line or violate any policy and procedures, and this is in total violation. So what I would do in summary, as I said, would do immediately some administrative leave, and for the tenure and non-tenure person as well, also too, some type of administrative leave process via consultation with HR and legal services.
Okay. Thank you. Could you tell me how many accreditation self-studies you've chaired and how many visiting teams have you served?
I have not chaired any self-studies. In visiting teams, I have not served on any, but I have been the recipient of many visiting teams. Of course, you can imagine so, serving as administrator at Gadsden State Community College, and I'm fully aware of SACs and COCs, their core values, and definitely respect and abide by their policies and procedures as our accrediting body. And of course, I know that their policies and procedures, their core values such as integrity and transparency and student learning and self-studies and evaluation of growth, I know that that all plays into the mission statement here, of course, at Shelton State Community College. Also plays into the 2020 plan, no doubt. And of course, being on the end of receiving SAC studies and visiting committees. Of course, the responsibility area that I have supervised, student services, I have worked hand in hand, of course, preparing responses for issues identified, of course, regarding student services grievances and responses to student grievances and so forth. And I've been on that end and, of course, understand and appreciate the value that SACs and SAC-COC brings to all of our institutions, of course, as being our governing body. So fully aware of the process and procedures, have not chaired a self-study, but have been on the end and administrative end, and of course working with our faculty to perform, to conduct and assess SLOs and so forth. And also I do know that Shelton is up for reaccreditation, of course, in 2019, and I do know that their QEP was one that is quite remarkable as far as the organizational of excellence, and I think that's very important because started out as a QEP and working on skill sets, enhancing skill sets, and making the organization better, and of course now has, using the Baldrige model, has indeed evolved into just obviously a supreme excellence, standard of excellence organizational model.
Great, good. Thank you. All right, this is the next question. One of your top administrators comes to you with a recommendation for the termination of one of her subordinates who holds a key staff position, and this recommendation is based on job performance going back several years. Around the same time, you are approached by a rather vocal member of the state legislature who tells you that she has received numerous complaints from the constituents about a tenured member of the college industrial maintenance faculty. The legislature tells you that she believes you should terminate the instructor immediately. In reviewing these two employees' written performance evaluations, you note that they all have been given satisfactory or slightly better, though you are told both are actually substandard performers. On further inquiry to the college's HR director, you learn that less than candid performance evaluations have been the norm for the college for years. So, two questions here. What are the issues, and what will be your next steps?
Okay, first, obviously, walking into the door, it seems as though first of all, performance evaluations are very important, and they should be taken seriously. And obviously, if we just, as our administrators or the person supervising employees, if they do not take them seriously, then of course that has to start from top down. I think that the president has to stress his or her importance and their value that they place on performance evaluation, first of all. Once again, I'm all about investigating and to make sure that matters are indeed valid and sound. I surely do just not wave my hand and take a conversation that someone walks into my office and has with me without investigating the matter. If upon investigation find out that these matters do prove to be so, then of course, and if persons have gotten, if their evaluation obviously is what is identifying, is saying that the employees obviously are less than stellar, but that's not what's reflected obviously in their evaluations, then of course, then we have some issues up there with their supervisors, and that would need to be contended with, whether that's going to be a performance improvement plan on their end as far as how they're supervising their people, or et cetera. Now, where the legislature comes in and tells me that he believes that I need to terminate this instructor immediately, of course, I would think that the last time that I checked that you would be my direct supervisor, not the legislator. So, of course, that I would be always, of course, respectful, and you can always listen to anyone, of course, and anyone can give advice. But, of course, what you elect to do with it is your choosing. So what I would do at that time, of course, is listen to whatever the legislator wants. Again, community support, listen to what he or she would have to say. But then again, surely I would not make any action based upon what a legislator was telling me or threatening me or, advising me to do regarding taking some type of personnel action against someone in our institution. In reviewing these two employees' written performance, once again, seeing that they have received slightly or slightly better, although I'm actually told that they're less than stellar performers. Once again, I think it seems as though there's a lot of performance enhancement, performance improvement plans that will be going on here. Once again, though, but I think, Chancellor, it would need to be outlined, identified, and expressed from the top down of what the president valued. And I think that because the president leads the mission. I mean, the president sets the tone. And if the president's been accommodating this behavior or knowing, it's just often when we explain people away, so to speak, we explain their behavior away. Well, that's unacceptable. And I think that we have to take a stand, and you just cannot continue to accept unacceptable. So I think in this instance, from what the scenario presents, is that this behavior of inadequacy obviously has been going on, and now a new person is here, and you can't fix it overnight. It's not going to be repaired overnight. But I think that I would see the president setting the tone, stressing the importance of evaluations, and then taking measures to hold people accountable, whether that's through performance enhancement plans and/or termination or whatever, but evaluation and assessment. I think that's the first time I've gotten that.
Good. During your first cabinet meeting as president, the college's workforce development dean informs you that a regional sheet metal production company has decided to relocate its primary production facility to the college's service area, and that as part of the incentive package offered by the state's economic development team, the college must deliver technical training to the company's existing employees and provide a pipeline of 10 to 15 new sheet metal operators each year, at least on the average, for the next 5 years. Complicating matters, the CFO was unaware of this commitment, and thus the college's budget does not account for the necessary increase in personnel and related costs in the college's technical division. What would be your thought processes be in analyzing these matters, and how would you address each?
Okay. First of all, this is a real-time scenario for me, I guess I would say, in my current position, and I'm sure that this has happened numerous times here, definitely with a major OEM sitting right here, being Mercedes sitting right here in this community. So I no doubt that this conversation, this scenario has indeed occurred. But how I would indeed handle it, first of all, oh yes, we would definitely have to find a way to accommodate these skill sets and these training needs. There's no two ways about it. I mean, because I would know that probably through Tuscaloosa Industrial Development Authority, I would probably know that there had been a great deal of networking and communication which occurred in order to even have the company relocate here, to locate here. So I know that they have already investigated that Shelton State is sitting here with these skill sets, able to provide these skill sets. So yes, we would just have to make it happen. Here, as far as the concern where the CFO is pulling his or her hair out and, oh my goodness, we don't have this money, that's sort of where I guess the innovation comes in, I guess you could say, Chancellor, because sometimes you've got to find the money. And we would have to find the money. We would have to find a way as far as reassessing our finances and try to, once again, building relationships and trying to get resources and trying to get money so that we can offer these skill sets, because we don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Because not only are we going to be training the workforce, I mean, we could talk about this could also enhance enrollment depending on who the personnel, as I say, we're training, or whether it's retraining needs, or whether it's entry level persons. I just see this as an opportunity for us, no doubt. So no, as a president, I definitely would not want to miss out on this, and we wouldn't miss out on this. We would find a way to find the resources to make it happen. And of course, we would find a way to calm our CFO down, because we appreciate him or her always being good stewards of our money and always looking at our budget to make sure we are indeed in compliance, of course, and having our 2-month fund balance that we're supposed to have. But as far as maneuvering the personnel and the related costs that we're going to have in technical division, which we know technical equipment is very expensive. It's very expensive to operate our technical programs. We know that. But what we're just going to be claiming is that we're going to be seeking resources and building partnerships, and we're going to have other areas also too, other partnerships in the community that's going to be willing to also help us, knowing that this opportunity is here and knowing that it's going to, as you say, for the next 5 years, hopefully that they're going to be able to jump in here and try to help us to bridge a partnership so that we can service this company and meet these needs.
Great, thank you. As a new president, you will more than likely be approached by well-meaning faculty and staff offering advice and their perspective on the college, its history, and its future. Those perspectives will likely conflict with one another. Some will be offered with the best of intentions. Other will offer some attached with personal agendas. As you move forward, how will you sift through and manage the various suggestions that you receive and make decisions in the best interest of this institution?
You're absolutely correct, and I will welcome the perspectives, and I will welcome the input, I will welcome the conversations. And what I would do is what I've done in the past with my leadership and managerial skills is make sure that I'm assessing the matter and listening, of course, to what's being told. But that's what it's about, is building relationships, and that's what I will have to do because the people will not know who I am, and of course I will be a new president. And there are people that have, oh my gosh, I mean, just subject matter experts are all throughout this institution. I mean, this is what they do. And of course, they have the rich history that all of our, not only Shelton State Community College, but all of our community colleges here in our Alabama community college system, they have the rich history, and I'm able to, and I'm hoping I'm able once again to glean that, to be recipient of that, to receive that information. Oh yes, and I know people will present. I'm not naive enough to think that people will not present with personal agendas. Of course, if they were not, then I would be concerned that something definitely would not be right. But as I move forward and sift through it is exactly what I would have to do, is to move forward and to sift through it, because I'm a firm believer that I have great people skills, and I have a way of assessing situations and matters and mediating and so forth, that I feel that I have skill sets that I'm able to tell over time that there's some manipulative behavior occurring. But as I said, people want to be heard. People want to talk with you and be involved, and I think it's important to allow people to be involved, because you can't operate in a silo, and you've got to empower people. As I said, your subject matter experts are here. I would be the president of the institution. I cannot be in all corners of the institution at all time. There will have to be develop a sense of trust and throughout, of course, the administrative cabinet, and of course throughout the institution. And I think that once people get to know me and know who I am, and they'll see that I'm not here to give them lip service, they'll see that what I say is what I mean. They'll see that I am a good listener. They'll see that it does not have to be my way all of the time. They'll see that I really will value their input, because I will value these conversations. I will value their input. They've been doing it. Now, the old adage of doing the same thing over and over again, it's not working. It's okay for us to make a mistake. I'm okay to back up and try something else if we see it's not working. So what I would ask of them as well too is, we got to have a give and take relationship. As I said, I've got to learn them as well as they have got to learn me. But for the most part, I do look at people as being good human beings. And I do look at people as having a rich and caring heart and loving what they do. I do feel that people here at Shelton State Community College, I know that it's not just a job for them. I do know that, and I do know that they sincerely care about what they do. And so I know that that's going to cross over, and I know that that's going to outweigh any of the negligent or the manipulative behavior. Once again, I know that's going to be there. I got that, realized that. Been in the Alabama community college system for 15 years, so I know about the manipulation. But I'm just welcome the opportunity, and just going to give people the benefit of the doubt and hope that they would do the same with me.
Very good. Thank you. The college's service area encompasses a vast geographic area with multiple needs. For instance, the college is located in the same city as the University of Alabama, a major transfer institution. At the same time, the college services neighboring counties with triple threat conditions: high poverty, high unemployment, and large numbers of adults without high school diploma. Share with us your strategy for leading the college to respond to all of these needs.
When looking at your 2020 plan, your strategic plan, and you're talking about, there's an area in there where you're talking about your impacting your area and reaching out. And so that to me entails this area of diversity, this high impoverished area and high unemployment numbers. I also know that because I know that Shelton State falls under Region 3 in workforce, in the workforce council that's authorized throughout the state. And I know that it showed for the last quarter that there were very high unemployment numbers. And I know that we've got to find measures to combat that. And you're absolutely right. In the strategic plan in the 2020, it clearly identifies measures that are put into place to grasp that area and provide training, provide services to that area. So we'll start with K through 12. And you're talking about those schools. I think at least this time now in the state, what I am indeed excited about, Chancellor, is that yourself, along with State Superintendent Dr. Tommy Bice, is having a conversation. I think for so long, we, in K through 12, we've done that finger point thing about remediation and how K through 12 is not, secondary is not preparing our students from them walking in the door, and we are having to spend at least the first 2 semesters on remediation, and where, of course, they finger pointed to us as well in secondary. And I think, you know, we can do that finger point all day long, even with this scenario, but until we take some measures to actually fix it, in which what I feel is happening, at least with yourself and State Superintendent Dr. Tommy Bice, because he's talking about measuring another area, using how he measures proficiency and when you measure proficiency and how you're project-based learning versus how we, of course, have taught in the past. I think for the populations, we've got to find a way to use the innovation, no doubt about it. We've got to get away from just a cookie cutter approach, a one size fits all, and just so number and so data driven. We've got to find a way to meet the student and get the resources to this area. We've not done a good job at that. So what I would do is embrace the 2020 plan that we have, of course, embrace it, and of course enhance it, no doubt, because I do feel that we have the mechanisms in place. We do have the opportunities here to provide the training skills, the training pathways for them. You're absolutely right. University of Alabama is sitting right here, and so is Stillman. And I see those, I don't see those as competition. I see them as resources for our transfer students, no doubt. And like I say, not to put the cookie cutter approach on them, because some of our students will be transfer students. Some of our students will not. Some of our students will go on into the workforce. And so therefore, when we have programs in place already like the Megatronics and other partnerships that we have in place, that we're able to now to seamlessly transition those students into either the workforce or on to a 4-year institution. But we should be, as the president, we should want to have as many resources as possible available for our students. So to see other educational entities, I don't see them as threats, I see them as partners. And we must find a way to collaborate with them, and I just think we can do a better job of that. So that's my answer on that.
Great, thank you. The college's Student Services Dean informs you that a local K-12 superintendent told her that local school systems are being indirectly discouraged from endorsing programs to students and their parents associated with your college. What are your next steps?
Well, I guess I'll respond by saying that community colleges, when we had that negative connotation attached to us as vocational schools. You know, we've undergone this before, shall I say, the negative. We've faced adversity before. So it seems like what needs to happen here at this time is the education process. And it seems as though we need to go and make a visit, of course, through our K through 12 superintendent, but we need to be in all of those schools anyway. We need to have the relationship with the high school counselors. We need to be there anyway. They need to know what we do. And this goes back to the last answer a little bit, expounding on it, to say that we need to make sure that we've got those partnerships, whether we've got career coaches in the high school. I know that Shelton State's undergoing hiring several admissions counselors, and I don't know if that's the correct title, but the recruiting efforts are indeed is what they will be, the services they will be delivering. And I see that as a mechanism to answer many questions, because if you get the recruiters, you get them into schools, you get those students in here, and they're talking about one-on-one advising. That's going to help us so much with these retention issues that we have, not only at Shelton State, but in the system, Chancellor. And I think by having that one-on-one advisement that we're going to have, with these advisors. We're going to get them from high school, but we're going to get them and we're going to be able to help them enroll. We're going to help them understand their needs in the college process. And of course, that's going to help us with financial aid, because we're going to talk about decreasing on our R2T4s, and of course it's going to help us with ARs that the school would carry. So I see that trickling on down. I also see this going into the Terry O'Banion model, supporting that, where he talks about access, open door, entry and accessibility, bringing those students in here. And not only that, once you get them in here, then of course you're going to talk about that student's success, and you're going to go over their agenda to make sure, and that's what those advisors and counselors are going to do, to make sure that you're identifying with them their skill sets. Once again, not that cookie cutter approach, but if they need to transfer on to 2 or 4 year institutions, or if they need to be prepared for the high demand jobs in the workforce. And then of course completion. And we've had discussion forever, how do you define completion? What's the definition of completion? But for this scenario, we definitely need to have a conversation. We definitely need to be in the schools, definitely need to have that relationship, and to make sure that we're doing that, because there is no reason why our local school systems should not be our biggest fans. And as I say, with you guys at the helm, State Superintendent Dr. Bice and yourself, having that conversation, which is a long-needed conversation, and working toward the 2020 plan about graduation rates and, of course, retention. It just all fits, and it just all makes sense. So this goes to an education process, and to make sure that we're there and make sure we have the right partners at the table. Once everyone gets the picture, like I say, that we're just not disjointed, or we're not separate entities, that we're all together and we all have the common goal in mind, which is the student, there's just no way that we can lose. But that's an education process.
Thank you. Okay, please share with us your process for developing a college's operating budget.
Okay. Well, first of all, I know if I'm appointed as president of Shelton State Community College, I know that a budget, of course, has already been submitted, of course, for the year, and I realize that, and probably in the planning stages now, because it is indeed May. And I know that, of course, a lot goes into planning a budget, and of course, you'll have to get individual input for all your divisions. Of course, that's instruction, student services, and fiscal services, and all. And everyone will have to have projection. It has to be tied into your strategic plan as well, too. Surely you can't have a strategic plan without showing your budget cost and your operating cost assessed to it. I do know that state funding, I know that Shelton State, just like all of our institutions in Alabama Community College Service, of course, comes with a OEM, and I know that the annual OEM, which is being given to Shelton State, is about $16 million. And I know that also, too, that is projected, once again, broken down into each of the divisions, have to, of course, meet and identify and tie it into how you're going to meet the 4 impact areas that you've identified in this strategic plan. And you'll have to project, of course, for instruction, and you'll have to look at the viability of your programs. You'll have to look at some programs that probably have served you well, but you'll also have to say, have they served you well in the past? And is it now time to look for new, different type of course offerings, program offerings? I think Shelton State is no different in any of the other institutions as facing those challenges, because our population is changing. So how we deliver services, whether that's online services, whether that's MOOC, or whether that's flipped classroom instruction, do we go from student teaching to center to instructor teaching center? I mean, you've got to think about all of those, once again, when you're preparing a budget. And so that comes from instructional and student services. Is going to have to look at if they're going to look for career readiness programs, the remediation that we talked about, the retention piece. That's going to require personnel. And so I know that you have a source center here, and I know that there are many opportunities and a lot of great services that are already utilized in those programs. You've got to look at your assessments that you currently have from work keys, Compass, and so forth. All of that goes into play when developing a annual operating budget for an institution. So I would think that, as I say, walking in, I know that there's something, of course, there's a budget in place, and of course, we have to always be in compliance to make sure you always have the two-month fund balance. That, of course, is according to state board policy. And I know that Shelton State is a fiscally sound institution as well, too. And you're forever seeking resources. And you have to make sure that we're always bringing in resources, whether that's from grants, donors, foundation, alumni, societies. But once again, it's about building relationship. So many business and industries, which you've already have here, have contributed to partnership and all those continuous collaboration efforts. And you're nationally recognized now. Shelton State is nationally recognized for being the fine arts, mecca, no doubt about that. So all of that goes into developing a college operating budget. But once again, it goes with getting everyone involved. The budget isn't just set by the president. Everyone has a say in this operating budget, and they should be allowed to, once again, tie it into your strategic plan and project what you want your vision, what is your vision, and how you want to implement it.
Okay, great, thank you. State Board of Education member Smith telephoned your institution to obtain the educational records of his granddaughter, Emma. Emma is 18 years old and enrolled in the welding program. Smith, who was elected from your district, has generously stepped in to pay the cost of Emma's education. Recently, he voiced skepticism regarding a multi-million-dollar facility you would like to construct, but you think through a series of meetings, you believe that through a series of meetings with him, you now have his support. Emma has signed a non-release agreement, and it's on file at your institution. After a few unsuccessful attempts to persuade the registrar's office to release the records, Smith went directly to the institution's chief instructional officer, who is a distant relative. At the direction of the dean, the documents were released. They contain not only Emma's grade history, but also the details of a now resolved hazing incident of which Emma was a participant earlier in the semester. When Emma learned of the release, she made an appointment to see you. So, two questions here. What do you see as the major issues in this scenario? And two, how will you approach the meeting with Emma? Okay,
first of all, at the beginning of the scenario, the first thing that, of course, began to blink in my head was FERPA. And that's a violation to give any type of information, of course. It doesn't matter just because you pay tuition, anything you steal, you can only give it to the person that it entails. So that's a FERPA violation. But only down here, of course, then it said that there was indeed, it said a non-release agreement. So I don't know if there's a release agreement that you sign, of course, when you authorize information to be released. So if this is a non-release agreement, and I don't think that this is a typo, so a non-release.
And that is correct.
Okay, so that seems to me then that a non-release is a non-release, so you're not supposed to release the information. And she has that signed. So it seems as though even if we've got this document in our files that clearly says there's a non-release, it means that that information should not have been disseminated or shared with anyone. It doesn't matter who it is other than the actual person that it involves. So that, in my eyes, in reviewing this, would be a violation. And the fact that she went to the direction of the dean, that the documents were released. Now, second part of this also, too, it said that once this was released, this information also contained hazing information. That rings a bell to me because anytime there's any type of student disciplinary issues, yes, we flag the record, so to speak, or, in order to hold, just to alert in the way of a flag, but never are the contents of what the actual disciplinary action is. Never is that entailed in the student file. So that would be, I guess, a flag or thinking that that would be concerning to me as well. So when Emma would come to see me, I suppose, because clearly, in my opinion, from how I'm interpreting this scenario, I definitely see violation where the staff has has errored, because as I say, the information should not have been released if there is indeed a form that's saying a signed non-release agreement. And so when Emma comes to see me, she's probably, I guess, probably very concerned this information has been shared. What I would need to say to her at that time is, of course, to listen to what her complaint and concerns would be. And that's what I would be, to be in a listening mode. And of course, to once again, investigating Valerie here until I investigated it to find out further information to see exactly what I could do, of course, to the personnel that indeed had released this information unlawfully or inappropriately released this information, because it should not have been released.
Very good. Thank you. What strategies would you employ to identify and cultivate leadership within the college should you become president?
I would talk about that empowerment, because I would like to talk to everyone, because people have skill sets that are that they have been working in particular areas probably for so long, but could probably serve other areas better. So what I would like to do is to find those other areas, assess those skill sets, and to cultivate leadership within the college, a sense of empowerment, as I said earlier, to let people know that everybody had a piece of the pie, everybody owned a piece of the pie, because if you empower people, then they do take on ownership. And I think, once again, leadership involves, too, a great deal of making sure that we're doing team building processes, that we, as the administrative cabinet, that we are a healthy group, because we've got to be a healthy group. Once again, I stand firm by the top-down theory. People are going to emulate you. They're going to emulate your actions. They're going to emulate your spirit and your temperament and your culture. And I mean, if you're sending out bad, negative vibes, controlling, manipulative, silo type attitude, that's what you're going to get. So I'm about this inclusiveness. And so I would want to make sure that in attempts to cultivate leadership within the institution, to make sure that everyone knows that they have an opinion. And of course, at the end of the day, the bottom line, I know that you're going to look to me, because I know the president bears the ultimate responsibility for the institution. I get that and I understand that. But I am all about knowing that I cannot and will not operate, like I say, in a vacuum or in a silo. So it'll be about team building efforts, initiative, but do an assessment to seeing what those outstanding skills are. And just because you've been doing something for 20 years, maybe it's time to change. And maybe it's time to do something else, or you have other skill sets that are dormant, over there that can be utilized, that can serve the institution in a better capacity. As again, what I know that will outweigh anything is that the love that the employees have for these students and how just committed they are to student success. And I know that about the employees here at Shelton State, and I just know that that's going to win over everything. Surely you're going to have stumbling blocks in any organization, and I'm sure that there will be some here. But I at least want to know that openness, that inclusiveness, that willingness to listen, and that empowerment, just taking on ownership.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Well, that was the last of our 12 questions.
Oh, my goodness.
In closing, let me offer my congratulations to you for making the finalists.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that, and certainly thank you for your time this morning and answering these questions. And I certainly would wish you the very best of luck the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.